Hi, this is David Bliven, Bronx and Westchester divorce attorney with another episode of Lessons from the Divorce Wars. So, I've touched on this theme in the past, bears circling back because I just had another recent example of why if you're high income, high net worth, you might be tempted to go out there and hire the big Manhattan law firm that has over 100 attorneys or, similar size law firm that, has 70, 80, 100 lawyers in downtown White Plains. Because your thought process is, well, they're going to be able to better handle my case. After all, they have 100 lawyers behind them. They would easily have that many support staff, so they're going to have probably 100 paralegals and legal assistants. Well, the problem is they're not all working on your case. They're all assigned to different cases. So even if you meet with like a senior partner at that law firm, that senior partner most likely is not actually going to be assigned to your case. Go onto their website. In all likelihood, those really big law firms are not doing divorce and family law as a primary area of their practice. They do 10 different areas of law. So they'll do construction law and, aviation law and personal injury and corporate law, etc., etc. What they won't be doing as a primary moneymaker, no offense to divorce law, is divorce law. That's going to be a very small percentage of their overall practice. And the practical reason for that is, maybe in a really, really big case, you can make hundreds of thousands, maybe even in the low millions. On a high-income, high-net-worth divorce case. But they can earn millions or tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions in different areas of law. So that's the difference. They're going to assign a relatively low-level associate attorney to your case, and that's who's going to be primary. Maybe for certain court dates, they'll send a low-level partner, but that's not the person that's going to do the vast majority of your work. So let me circle back to a relatively recent example. So I was on a case where little old me, as a solo practitioner, was going against a firm that had over 100 lawyers. They had 5 different locations throughout the state. Well, number one, does that intimidate me? Not in the least, because I know the reality, which is I'm going to have far more experience than, in all likelihood, the low-level associate that they're going to assign to that divorce and family law case. So that's number one. Number two, so they assigned this low-level associate. They had a higher-level junior partner assigned as well. Almost never saw this attorney on the case. Well, here's the problem. For their client, who was high income, here's the problem. The attorney that was assigned to the case went out on medical leave. Guess who replaced her? No one! No one replaced her. I circled back to this attorney. She owed a stipulation on this case, and I emailed, never got a response. Emailed again. Hey, what's going on with this stipulation? No response. Weeks later, I get a response. Oh, yeah, gee, sorry, I was out on medical leave, and that's why I didn't circle back to you. The firm has 100 lawyers. Why didn't one of the other 99 lawyers respond to me? Why didn't the firm step in and assign somebody else to that case while the person was out on medical leave? Why? Because they're busy doing other money makers for that firm. That's the answer. So if you're high income, high net worth, why shouldn't you question that? Even before you hire that firm, reach out to that firm. Hey, what are the areas that you consider to be the primary areas of your firm? Is it divorce and family law? get the answer before you hire them. Who's going to be working on my case? Who's going to be doing the vast majority of the work on my case? Those are the questions. What's going to happen if that attorney is not available? How seamlessly do you assign somebody else to the case? You want the answers to these questions because it's going to affect you in your case. How many paralegals and legal assistants are going to be assigned to my case? You want to ask that question going in. Just because a law firm has 100 lawyers, don't assume that I'm going to get a partner and an associate assigned to my case, and a paralegal, and a legal assistant, or a law clerk. Ask those questions before you hire them, before you shell out $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 as a retainer for one of these big 100-lawyer firms. Make sure you're getting what you're paying for going in, right? Because you don't want to face that prospect where your case is, because it's not a moneymaker for that firm, even though you have, you're thinking, hey, I earn $500, I earn $1 million, I earn $5 million a year, so my case should be important to this firm. Well, guess what? It probably isn't. If the money makers for that firm are over in corporate law and they're earning hundreds of millions of dollars over there, that's where their bread and butter is, not in your case. So be wary of hiring these big firms. Check out the quote unquote smaller firms, because what you really should be looking for is an attorney that has really good experience, really good qualifications, but also who does this as the primary area of their practice. So those are the overriding qualifications that you should really be looking for in an attorney, not necessarily the size of the law firm. So if you're looking for similar answers to questions like these, check out my blog. You'll find it at blivenlaw.net/blog. See you next time.